Joining us now from North West London is head teacher Katharine Birbalsingh. Former Chief Examiner Dr Tony Breskin is in Westminster, and from North London is Suzanne Baum, who's a mother of three boys aged 10, 17 and 18. Dr Hillary still here. Tony, can I just come to you first, because obviously the exam question is where we just left off with Susanna and Gavin's conversation there. What do you think that the main priority will be for the Exam Qualification Board now as to how on earth to rightly give the correct grades to all these children? Because mocks don't always tell you the truth about someone's potential.
Absolutely. And of course, one of the big problems is that this government has virtually removed coursework from GCSE and ALevel examinations, and it's effectively abolished the AS level, which would have given us hard data. So we're in a difficult place. The examination boards are going to have to work out a way to, in a sense, get tougher predicted grades, more reliable ones. That's not an easy task, but we've got to take these young people out of limbo, and we've got to ensure that they feel the qualifications that they receive are as valid as any awarded last year or next. That's a significant challenge. I'm disappointed that this kind of detail, which could have been worked out before the announcement, wasn't done at that stage. We should have been planning this contingency much earlier. I rather wish that the announcement on school closures, that we'd been given a week's notice last week and that this week we'd get the detail. What in reality is going to happen is we'll hear the detail tomorrow, we'll work out what it means next week, and effectively that means another week or two or more of limbo for our young people, their families, their teachers. Yeah. We've got to get it the other way round.
And Tony, the point is, of course, you know, there are two ways of speaking to a minister. One is to ask them all the difficult question about why they didn't do it, but then at the same time, you've got to get on with what we've got in hand. You know, you've got to deal with the situation as it is this morning.
Yeah, I mean, Katharine Birbalsingh, who founder and headmistress of the Macario Community School, I mean, do you have some sympathy with the government here? I mean, you know, they had a plan, and, you know, we've seen a very steep curve in the number of coronavirus cases. They are obviously been speaking to the schools, and they've realised that teachers are now absent from school. Less and less pupils are coming to school. So they've had to force this decision. There are so many eventualities, whether it's exams and what happens with, you know, with learning. You know, forget exams, just learning. I mean, do you have some sympathy that actually a decision had to be made?
Absolutely. I have huge sympathy. I mean, I can only imagine how difficult it is in government at the moment. I know just from running my own school, hourly things are changing, and one needs to react accordingly. I'm really pleased with the decision to close schools on Friday. We head teachers were struggling, but we all pull together in a moment of crisis. I don't think this is the time to be massively critical of each other. We're all wanting the best. I know the government are trying their very best. I think they've made the right decision. I think for the children, for year 11s and for year 13s, with their A-levels and GCSEs, it was the right decision to cancel the exams. In fact, it's giving us certainty. We are now able to say to our children, well, you don't worry. You're not going to have those exams when the peak of the virus is here. So I'm really happy about that. Now, obviously, we need more information about how teacher assessment will work, but that will come in time.
Are you confident? Are you confident, Katharine, that with your teachers that they will be in a good position to make an assessment on their students? Bearing in mind, I thought the number one point we're hearing from a lot of parents and students is that it was around about this time where they will step up their game, if you like, as they are getting closer to the exams. You know, so would you bear that in mind as well? Would you look and go, well, actually, although the mock exams might not have been good, they may not have done amazingly well in their coursework, but we know this student was probably likely to perform well in the exam. Would all those very, very nuanced points be taken into account?
Absolutely. Of course they will be. But you're right that it is difficult. Sometimes students surprise you and really step up coming towards the exams. Having said that, we are relatively close. So you've got a sense of their attendance, you know, their commitment to work up until now. Their teachers will have a good sense of what they imagined would happen. But obviously the situation isn't ideal.
It's
but
not ideal.
We know that, you know.
Can I just, I mean, we've got Suzanne Baum, also a mum of 3, and about how she's managing that. Just a quick question to Tony, though, briefly, about how universities will allocate places now, because obviously before this pandemic, some children would get the ones that were predicted, I shouldn't say children, young people, and others would not get those, and then they'd go through clearing. So in a way, that system is there. Now, if all the teachers, as Katharine's just said, are going to give the children what they thought they would get on their best day, which is the right thing to do, probably, in fairness, how on earth are universities then going to... They can't give places to everybody, because that's not how places are allocated. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it's a very difficult situation, and we do. I think everybody appreciates how difficult it is, but it is now. This is the detail that we need. How are the grades going to be awarded, and how is the university place allocation process going to work this year? The universities are going to have to be more flexible as well, but I'm assured that these young people are going to get grades. They have to believe in those grades. We have to believe in those grades. We need to trust the profession, and I've no doubt the profession will deliver on that. Yeah. But we absolutely must ensure that these students get as good a shot, especially disadvantaged students, at university, as any other. That's got to be the judgment.
Dr. Tony Breskin, thank you. Suzanne, you know, you'll be like lots of mums and dads have been watching this the last few minutes. You've heard from Gavin Williamson, you heard from Dr. Tony there, and Katharine. Are you reassured in any way? I know you have 3 children who are all at various levels of education. Are you reassured by what you've heard this morning?
So I've got 3 kids. I've got one who's 10, so he's in the last year of primary school. An older one who's just come back from Birmingham University, his first year. And actually, it's the middle one I'm most anxious and worried about. He is an A-level student, so it's the uncertainty. There's no clarity. For him, everything, you know, there was a sense of joy when he first found out, but he has worked so hard. I mean, look, I've got his revision notes here. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. And hearing the Education Minister saying they're not cancelling A-levels, but there's no exams, it's the... I mean, I think we now have to wait to tomorrow to actually get an idea of exactly what's going to happen now.
But, I mean, let's assume, from what we are gathering, it's going to be teacher assessment. I think that is probably going to be the way forward. It's going to be teacher assessment. They're going to assess every student individually. Gavin Williamson did say there is an appeal process, like there always has been. So if a student felt that they weren't awarded the correct, there will be an appeal process as well available to them. Taking that as a scenario, do you think that gives you any comfort? Would it give your kids any comfort, do you think, going forward?
I think it will give my son a bit of comfort, but to be honest, a lot of his work has not been coursework, so he's not going to be able to be judged on coursework. Yes, he has good attendance. Yes, he is a good student, but his predictions were also good. But
I mean, I just wonder whether there will be an element of leniency throughout this. You know, I think, you know, I would have thought if a teacher's making an assessment and it's whether it's a B or a C, you'd think they'd go, well, in this circumstance, I'm going to give them a B, wouldn't you? I mean, you'd think they're going to be lenient, really.
I think they're going to have to be lenient, but then it's going to be chaos with the university. I mean, if they're lenient with everyone, it's like, it's going to just be crazy.
Let's just ask Katharine, really. You're going to be at the hard edge of anything, you and all your teaching colleagues. What are you going to do? I mean, how are you going to keep a level head? You've got children very stressed. The pressure's going to be on all the teachers now, and you know them personally. These are kids you know. The thing about doing exams is it goes off to somebody else you've never seen, never will meet.
That's right.
It's someone else's fault, and you're on their side. And now it puts you in a kind of collision course, potentially, with the students you love and want to do really well.
Yes, well, I suspect that the teacher assessment system will be more nuanced than we are currently imagining it will be, and that government will give guidelines with regard to that in time. I think at the moment we just need to be grateful that we know that the children aren't taking their exams, and then we just need to wait. At the moment, you know, we're in terms of running schools, you know, it's so difficult. We're all coming to the end now on Friday. We need to make sure that we get services in place for the future as we move on. We need to make sure that children are learning at home, that we're using our online facilities, and the homework that's going home is worthwhile for the children. I think that's where we need to be putting our energies at the moment. And we just know teacher assessment is coming, but I suspect it will be much more complex, and that there will be systems put in place by government to ensure that well, I mean, because what you're suggesting is you really like a child and you think, oh gosh, well, I really want him to do well.